Hello everyone and welcome back to UE5 BP Guru. Today we're doing something new, something fresh. I was very bored and I asked ChatGPT to give me a game mechanic that I could do just for fun, and I sort of sat around for 2 days trying to work it out, and I finally finished it. And I've realized everyone who does this on any other YouTube video, and I'm not tooting my own horn here or anything, do not give you the full picture. And a lot of them are, if you're doing, the game mechanic is rewinding time, fast forwarding time, pausing time, slow-mo time, all that sort of stuff. We're going to do all of that today. And when you follow those other tutorials, what you'll find is certain random things will happen that you don't want to have happen. And that is because they haven't given you the full picture. What they'll do is, so for example, if I pause time now, they'll do stood still. And then they'll unpause time, and then you can fast forward time. But what they'll do before they fast forward time is they'll stop, and then they'll fast forward time. They don't do it when they're walking, and there's a reason for it, because basically the way they set it up would cause you to fly forward. It's because what happens is the event tick continues on the movement. So because it happens all on the same tick near enough, your character's still moving at that speed, even though the game's trying to work out the difference in velocity. So, but what we can do here is we can reverse time, pause time so that it stays up. We can unpause time and then it drops. We can also do this with the spinning blades, pause time and work our way through, and then carry them on, and then our little enemy can't follow us any further. There we go. And if we unpause time, we can get out of here. So we can rewind. We can also slow down time with X. If I press X now, it's going way slower than it was before. And if I press C on this, it will speed up and freak out. And if I hold down V, it will rewind, and it will work its way through until it gets back to its starting position. Whereas the bridge, if you notice the bridge, oh gosh, it freaked out there. If you click on the bridge, it only has a small rewind time. And I'm going to show you how to do all of this, because none of these other tutorials do any of this. So let's get down to it. So there's a few elements that we're going to need. And this is my little fan object. I made it in Blender. It took me 2 minutes. So blueprints, and we've got a few things here. Now I'm not going to redo all of these parts because it takes a long time, and I want to make sure this video is kept nice and short for you guys. So the first thing that I'm not going to recreate is the enumeration, which is the time manipulation. And we just need 3 values, because rewind will always be rewind. It will never be affected by anything other than the pause, and because it only flows through these 3 options, it will actually affect a faster, slower rewind. So it's kind of a nice feature to have out of this enumeration. So you just need none, pause, slow, and fast forward, and you've got your enumeration sorted. I've also created a couple of things. We're going to create through these together through this series. This series is probably going to be 2 or 3 episodes long. But this is basically all for the rewind. You just need a blueprint component and 2, 1 actor class and 1 character class, so that we can create AIs walking around patrolling, and objects that fall down and react via physics. I'm going to take you through everything that's in the third-person character first, but I want to kind of delete everything out so that you can see me make it as one. So I'm going to do that first, and then we're going to carry on. Okay, so to begin with, I've created 4 inputs. Now, obviously, these were set up by me already. So if you want to create a new input, just go into your third-person folder. Under Inputs, go into Actions, right-click, and create a new input action there. And once you've created that, you just go into your IMC default and add that option here, and assign it whatever buttons you want to press to have that do that task. So, for example, for mine, I've got X, V, C, and Z set up for my pause, forward, slow down, and fast forward, and rewind, and all that sort of stuff. I think I said fast forward twice there. So once you've done that, you should be able to pull those input actions. You can literally just type for them. Because I've already got them, they won't show. Oh, it will. You've got your enhanced input actions there. Just grab those 4. Now, the first three are relatively set up similar to how to one another. We're going to need to create our enumeration as a variable. So again, just click the plus button, find the time manipulation enumeration, call it whatever you want, and then we can drag that out and use it. So for the pause is probably the most simple one. Well, actually, I'm going to lie, they're not all simple, but I'm going to make it simple for you guys because I've done all the legwork. But we've got our time position, and we're going to ask, is it paused? Are we already paused? And then if we are, we're obviously going to unpause. If we're not, we're going to then pause the game. We only need this on the started, so that's what we should have so far. Just off the started, click the branch, and we're good to go. If we press it in either direction, we obviously need to have it either set to none or true. Obviously, so the true comes down to the bottom, and if we're going to set that, we're going to set that to none. The top is then going to get set to paused. And we're going to copy this for all four of them eventually and have them set to their respected position. We're going to create a new variable, which I've already got on here, called Time Dilation. Again, just click the plus button and set it to a float. Call it whatever you want. And then we can set this here. I'm going to give you the values that worked well for me, but you just need to be prepared that you will have to play around with the mathematics of it. Basically, whatever you set your time dilation to, your global time dilation to, you will need to have the player set to, I think it's around about 5 times. Sorry, it's not 5 times. It is whatever this is divided. So you get 1 and divide it by this, and that's how much your player's time dilation would need to be. So, for example, I've already done the maths, but this time dilation would end up being 10,100 or something like that. That's what mine's set to anyway, and it works. But that's the difference, right? It's however many times this goes into 1. You can also do a divide operator, set it to a single float, and you could just say, okay, 1 divided by 0.1234561, and that would be, that output would be whatever you need it to be. So you could do it that way as well if you wanted to, but I've just worked out the figures basically. So I mentioned before, obviously, what most of the tutorials don't do is run a delay. And this will cause you issues when you're moving forward and you pause or unpause, etc. Because what happens is the flow of velocity is still happening when this frame hits. And as you're changing it the same frame, you basically inherit these issues. So what this needs to do is this needs to match the same delay as the time dilation. You could, again, also plug this directly into here if you want to, but I'm just doing it. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's fine. You only need to delay when you are pausing, not when you unpause. Next, you want to now set your player character. So get player character. They also have a custom time dilation. So we're going to set our custom time dilation to match, like I said, that math that we've just worked out. So again, the 10,100 is where we need it to be. Why is that like that? That's not right. There we go. And then that at the moment is all we kind of need to do. We will need to reset it as well at the bottom. So just plug that directly into here. Make sure it's that. And we will set it back to 1. And time dilation at the bottom here also needs to go to 1. So they need to both be 1 so that they match. We're going to create some event dispatchers. So down here at the bottom right here, we've got already the ones that we're going to need. But we're going to need to call them within this code. So the ones I'm using is rewind, forward, set anim ray, reset anim rate, and clear velocity. You can add these just by clicking a plus sign and creating it. And then when you want to use it, which we're going to do now, we're going to drag it out and call that clear velocity. And we're going to do that on the pause. And there's a reason why we'll do that, which you'll see down the line. Okay, so like I said, we're going to just copy this branch and these sets over to the next one. We're going to do the slowdown next. And again, just pop it on to the started. And we're going to say, we want this, is it equal to slow? Again, we only need to change the slow off the false. And we're basically going to keep everything exactly the same. So we're just going to copy all of this part up here. And then we just need to change the values. So for the time dilation for slow, I set it to 5. So it's going to be 0.5. So it's half speed, half the world speed. And because it's 0.5, we just need to double our custom time dilation because 0.5 goes into 1 twice. If you wanted to go a bit slower, you could set it to 0.2, but this would then have to be 5 because that goes into 1 5 times. We don't need to change the delay. The delay actually can stay for this part of the process. And then finally, we're going to copy all of this one more time and chuck that in for the forward as well. So we're going to go off the started, and we're going to say, is our time position fast forward? If it is, we're going to go to none and change it back to normal. But if it's false, we're going to set it to fast forward. And for the time dilation of this, I think 4 is pretty fast. We could set this to 0.2. If you wanted even the player to be slowed down and just have the whole world be slowed down for whatever reason, like if you wanted to do like a bullet time sort of effect, just remove the player side of things and the delay. Just set the global time dilation and everything will get slowed down. This is purely if you wanted a game where you could manipulate time around you, which is what I was kind of aiming for. But like I said, if you wanted it to just affect the player as well, just remove all of these things and just keep the set global up to the set global. You'll probably want the core clear velocity as well. Actually, thinking about it, you probably wouldn't want that either, just because again, it's the issues are where the player is still moving freely through time normally, but everything else is being affected negatively. That's where we have that issue. So finally, we have the rewind. So I've obviously already created the variable. It's just a get rewind boolean. Again, just click the plus sign, set it to boolean, and call it whatever you want it to. And then we are just going to do a couple of branches. Started, and we need to do one off of the completed as well. Like so. And plug that into that one as well. If it's false, we'll need to do a set. And this one goes off the false, and we set it to true. And this one goes off the true, and we set it to false. And we're going to call 2 of our event dispatchers. Actually, we're going to call all 4 of them, the 4 remaining ones. So we're going to call the rewind on the top one, and we're going to call set the anim rate, like so. And then we're going to call the forward, and we're going to call the reset anim rate, like so. And this, again, they'll make sense later on when we actually start to set that code up. But the idea is that when we do what we need to do, we're going to rewind time. But the set anim rate is because when we manipulate AIs, their animations will still play forward. So that will make them rewind backwards. And then same for this, it just resets it, makes the world go forward, and also resets that anim rate to play forward. And that is the player setup. Now there is a couple of little other things we're going to want to do in here before we move on to the next part in the next episode. But what we're going to do is on our character movement, we are going to head on down to where jumping is. Again, this is foreshadowing another incident that we're going to have down the line. But basically, a lot of what other people doesn't show you is that when you pause time and you're still running through it normally, what happens is all of those objects that were once moving inherit their velocity to the player, even though they are paused. For example, when you jump on top of a cube that may have been flying through the air, and then you try and jump off that to get to maybe like the next ledge, you will just fly off in it whatever direction it was moving, because it's inheriting that velocity. So there's 4 options we can do in here that will get rid of that, and that is impart base velocity x, y, and z, and impart base angular velocity. Tick all those off true, tick them off to false, sorry. You'll find that you have a far better control of your jumping. There is another thing we'll have to change later on, but we'll come to that in the next episode when we start looking at the actual rewind functionality. But your fast forward, pause, and slow down should all work at this point. So again, what you'll see is, for example, if I pause, the enemy stops moving, and I can't move any of these blocks or anything like that. If I press X, it will all slow down. So you can see it's kind of kept some of that velocity I've handled to it. So if I push that and pause it, it's now in the air. But if I can, I'll jump on top of it. I don't think I can right now. Oh, there we go. If I jump now, I'm not being affected by its forward-moving velocity. I can freely jump around wherever I want to go. So again, if I had another ledge up here, I could then jump to it. For example, if you were making like a puzzle game that required some form of platforming in amongst the puzzles, you can now do that without being sent flying off into the stratosphere. And if I press C, everything fast forwards now, so it works out that velocity a hell of a lot faster. Oh, and now he can't get to me. And if I pause him or her, they can't move anymore. So if you found this useful, the next episode we're going to be taking a look at rewinding and just kind of bringing everything together. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. Hopefully you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next episode. Much love. Take care. Bye.